Remember that time when Nintendo made mobile games?
That's right, back when the Wii U and 3DS were barely surviving, they wanted to break into a platform that literally every single person had.
The smartphone. Nintendo has a surprisingly odd catalog of games to play on mobile, so I wanted to try every single Nintendo mobile game and dig a little deeper into how Nintendo once tried to break into the world of mobile gaming. Starting with Nintendo's first mobile game, Miitomo, heavily influenced by the once popular 3DS game Tomodachi Life. Miitomo released in 2016 and was Nintendo's first major step into the mobile game world, but it wasn't actually a game in the traditional sense. It was more of a bizarre social app experience that revolved around personal avatars known as Miis. Yes, Miis. This was when they weren't banned to the Shadow Realm, that's the Nintendo Switch settings. In Miitomo, you could customize your Mii characters and then answer questions like, what's your favorite food? Or what's your dream vacation? These answers were then shared with friends and showed just how boring or edgy you could be. It had an almost playful approach to social media, mixing Nintendo gimmicks with casual social interaction, or at least it tried to. The main hook of the app was that as you interact with more and more friends, your coolness bar goes up and you become cool, possibly even cold perhaps. They even had outfits that you could buy with real money, because it's a mobile game and has microtransactions, of course. Miitomo offered a surprisingly robust set of customization options for Miis. You could dress them up in all sorts of fun outfits, adding a personal touch that helped users express themselves, whatever that means. Asking quirky questions and sharing answers with your friends offered a unique way of interacting with people online. It really took the awkwardness out of me interacting with people like an actual human adult. But after talking about it for a while, you must be thinking, who's gonna tell him? Yes, I know, Miitomo was discontinued in May of 2018, which means that it was only around for 2 years. But why? Despite its charm, Miitomo quickly wore thin for many players, myself included. I remember playing this with my friends the day it launched, being all excited about playing this Nintendo game on my phone. I absolutely adored Tomodachi Life on 3DS and couldn't wait for this to be the next best thing. But literally within only a few days, the gameplay got all crusty and stale. I kept wanting to play, but the 3 friends I had on the game stopped updating their questions, and it was pretty much dead within a week of existence. Beyond answering questions, and the novelty of seeing your friends' responses faded quickly. It wasn't exactly a game that had replayability. Miitomo was a fun experiment for Nintendo to feel out the mobile game industry, but its identity of more of a social app than a game made it feel too niche. It was a fun distraction at first, but without any deeper gameplay or features to keep users hooked, it quickly lost its appeal. For Nintendo fans who enjoyed the Nintendo charm and some light social interaction, it was an interesting idea, but it ultimately lacked the staying power of Nintendo's more traditional games. So while the concept is fun on paper, in practice, it's kind of boring. C tier. Oh yeah, I'm ranking these! Next we have one that is honestly everything any Mario fan could have asked for. When Super Mario Run was first announced back in 2016, it got a ton of people excited. Nintendo's main mascot was finally making his way to mobile, and Nintendo's first real shot at mobile gaming, if you don't count Miitopia. Super Mario Run had a lot of expectations to live up to, but how does it hold up today? Super Mario Run is an auto runner where Mario runs through classic 2D side-scrolling levels, in the likes of the new Super Mario 2D games. They made the controls pretty simple. You tap to make him jump, and the longer you press, the higher he goes. The game is designed for one-handed play, which is perfect for when you're in the bathroom, driving, swimming, and of course, eating. And these simple controls are easy to play, but don't let that fool you. The game is in no way easy. There is still a ton of challenge here, especially if you're aiming to collect all the special coins. Each level has 3 different sets of coins, pink, purple, and black. Every time you collect a set, the next set will unlock, with each set becoming harder and harder to collect each time you play through. So to 100% the game, you'll be playing the game at least 3 times. And the coin locations actually get pretty difficult. The level design is classic Mario, with vibrant and colorful worlds filled with familiar enemies, some power-ups, and of course, environmental hazards. The soundtrack is also packed with snazzy Mario remixes. There are also a few different modes, like Toad Rally. Here you race against other players' ghost runs, trying to outdo their coin collecting while also trying to get additional points with all your fancy parkour tricks. But you might be wondering, what's the point of doing this? Well, if you get a certain amount of toads in a specific color, you'll unlock new things to add to your home base, and you can unlock new characters and decorations. Speaking of different modes, we also have the 10 Remix mode, which is a flash of 10 sections of levels we've seen already in the main game. As you play through these 10 levels, you can collect star coins, and it'll even filter through the roster of playable characters. This also unlocks decorations and other in-game perks. And yes, that's right, I said other playable characters. I love that they added these! It gives the gameplay so much more depth and strategy in some cases. Like Luigi has his classic flutter to get to higher platforms, Toad has his typical speedrunning capabilities, and Peach, well, she kinda floats. Not completely, but just kinda. She's more of a glider. These are just cool and they kept me engaged as I cycled through them. But hold it right there, Buster. Did you forget we were playing on mobile? The game is free to start, but after completing the first few levels, you're hit with a one-time $9.99 paywall to unlock the rest of the game. I definitely think that this is more than acceptable, and would definitely prefer this method of paying for mobile games than constant ads and random microtransactions. This just makes it simple and easy to understand. You got the full package for one price. And yes, some might gasp at the initial shock of buying a $10 mobile game, but this offers much more than other $10 games, and is a great value compared to the new Super Mario games in this style. One downside is that Super Mario Run requires a constant internet connection, which can be frustrating if you're in a spotty service area. The lack of offline play feels like a missed opportunity for the game's design for quick mobile sessions and kids who might not have a data plan yet. I'm sure it's because this game is cross progression across multiple devices and it needs to be linked to a Nintendo account at all times. Kinda makes sense. Still though, I'm putting this in S tier. Yeah, it's pretty good. Play it. Next is Fire Emblem Heroes. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge Fire Emblem fan. I'm sorry, I'm just not. Don't get me wrong, I've tried and tried, but RPGs like this don't really stay very long in my brain. I just find that there's too much reading, the gameplay loop isn't super addicting to me, and worst of all, I'm an impatient hog. But anyways, back in the day, I did dip my tiny little toes into this mobile version of the game, determined to just play it and get into it, but unfortunately fate had other plans. So let's revisit it today and see what we think. First off, the gameplay. It's streamlined for mobile, which means that you're getting much smaller maps than the mainline Fire Emblem games, from what I could tell. The battling is in the same style as the traditional games. You're on a map in a grid attacking enemies, and certain characters have specific strengths and weaknesses depending on who you are fighting. So if you like Fire Emblem, this is probably pretty similar to what you're used to. Now, one thing I found pretty fun was building your roster of characters. Using this gacha system, you can summon heroes from across the Fire Emblem series. I've been clowning on fools with Roy, and speaking of characters, the design on each of them in this style is amazing. Each render is detailed and vibrant. Of course, while I like collecting the characters, the way of obtaining them isn't my favorite. The summoning system, as mentioned, it's a gacha, so the whole thing is based on chance. Sometimes you get that 5-star hero you've been waiting for, and other times you'll get these 3 duplicates of characters you don't even want. It can be frustrating, especially when the game subtly nudges you to spend real money on orbs to increase your chances. It's not the most egregious gacha system out there, but the temptation to spend is always present. And fun fact time, this game made over $100 million in its first year, which is 10 times more than Mario Run made in its first year. So as far as microtransactions go, they actually nailed it, but thankfully it didn't snag me. There are ways to earn orbs without paying, but it can be pretty grindy. But let's talk about game modes. There's actually lots to do. You've got a story mode, which gives you a classic Fire Emblem narrative, which even has fantastic looking cutscenes for you to watch. Then there's the arena, which lets you face off against other players' teams, and limited time events that rotate regularly. Nintendo does a good job of keeping things fresh with constant updates and events, and that's always nice. Overall, Fire Emblem Heroes is a solid mobile game, especially for fans of the series. The gacha mechanics and microtransactions might be off-putting to some, and the stamina system can be a bit restrictive, but there's a lot of fun to be had here. It's a game that's easy to pick up, hard to put down if you choose to, and perfect for quick strategic battles on the go. Just be prepared to gamble. For what it is, B tier. Shortly after Fire Emblem Heroes, Nintendo fans were treated to a brand new Animal Crossing game. At the time, everyone was thirsty to get their hands on a new Animal Crossing game, as the previous entry had come out in 2012 on the 3DS. So it was quite a hoot when in 2017 they announced Animal Crossing would be coming onto mobile devices with Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. I remember booting it up back in the day and briefly playing it for maybe like 1 or 2 days. I guess I'm not a mobile gamer. Something about this was just boring. I don't remember what it was that made me stop, so let's jump in again today and figure it out. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is a scaled down version of the classic Animal Crossing experience. Instead of managing a full town, you're running a campsite, and your job is to build it out, decorate it, and invite cute animal villagers to hang out with you. You'll fish, catch bugs, gather fruit, and complete tasks for your talking animals, just like the main games. Right away, one of my biggest problems with this is the controls itself. I'm used to playing Animal Crossing with a controller, but in this case you have to drag your finger in the direction you want your villager to walk, which gets kind of annoying after a while. It would have been much better if they just added a virtual analog stick instead of making me have to drag my finger all the way around the screen. I found that I had to navigate through too many menus and click too many buttons to complete tasks. The user interface was just too cluttered. Interacting with the animal villagers is a big part of the game. They ask for your help with tasks, and in return, you can build up their friendship level, unlock new dialogue, and get rewards. It's a fun system that I wish they added to regular Animal Crossing games. I recently played Disney Dreamlight Valley, and a key part of that was leveling up specific villagers to unlock new things like cosmetics. It's interesting how they did it in this game, and they didn't bring it to the new Animal Crossing games that came out after this. I really liked this part of the gameplay. Another strength of Pocket Camp is its event system. There's always something happening, from seasonal events to limited time collaborations where you can earn exclusive items and rewards. So if you've been playing for a while, there's usually something new to check out. For now, once again in classic mobile game fashion, this has some silly mobile game quirks. That's right, microtransactions. Let's go! Pocket Camp is free to play. Leaf tickets are the game's premium currency, and while you can earn some through gameplay, there's definitely pressure to spend real money to speed up crafting times or get exclusive items. If you're not careful, it can feel like a bit of a money pit, especially if you're chasing limited time items or trying to upgrade your campsite quickly. And let's not forget that there's an entire subscription service in this game as well. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I found myself getting very bored. And it felt like some other people felt the same way because much like many other Nintendo mobile games, this game is being shut down. It was announced last August that Pocket Camp will be shutting down in November 2024. At the time of recording this, that's next month. So I'm glad I had a chance to play it before it finally died. But what's interesting is that instead of canceling it altogether, they announced that the game will be getting a paid version without microtransactions. At the time of recording this, we still don't know what that means. But it seems like they want to sell it to us without dealing with updates, which is fine by me. I think that's actually perfect. So this isn't quite the end of its story, but still, for now, I'm putting it into C tier. Next is Dragalia Worlds. I genuinely had no idea this existed, or maybe I forgot. Once again, this was dealt the same fate as a handful of these games. It was delisted from the App Store in 2022. But what is it? Well, based on what I could find online, Dragalia Lost is an action role-playing game developed by Cygames and published by Nintendo, released in September 2018. This one is very different to other Nintendo mobile games because instead of Nintendo using an existing IP like Mario or Animal Crossing, Dragalia Lost is brand new, never seen on other platforms. The game takes place in a fantasy world where humans and dragons coexist. Players control Prince Eudin and is on a quest to save his kingdom. The gameplay is pretty simple. Players directly control their character in real time, tapping and swiping to move, attack, and use special abilities. One unique feature is the ability to transform into a dragon during combat. By collecting dragon stones, characters can morph into a dragon, boosting their power. And let's not forget, this game also had microtransactions. Dragalia Lost uses a gacha mechanic for obtaining new characters, dragons, and items. Players use in-game currency or premium currency bought with real money to summon new heroes and dragons with randomized results based on rarity. This game apparently also had a pretty deep and bulky story, with the narrative focusing on your player's journey and his friendships on other characters. And just like other online mobile games, it regularly featured events, special missions, and limited time collaborations with franchises like Fire Emblem and Mega Man. As mentioned, despite a decently active fan base, Dragalia Lost faced a decline in revenue, and in 2022, Nintendo announced that the game would be shutting down. The servers went offline in November, marking the end of the game's 4-year run. And since I didn't get a chance to play this, I'm gonna put this in the I didn't play tier. Next we have Dr. Mario World. Now I don't think I ever played this for more than 5 to 10 minutes, and personally I'm not a huge Dr. Mario or Tetris fan. I can enjoy it, but I don't normally sit down to play it. That being said, I don't really remember this game. But I have proof that I played it because the app itself is still on my iPad. I could sell this thing for millions now. Dr. Mario World was a mobile puzzle game released in July 2019. It was based on the classic Dr. Mario series, which originally debuted in 1990 on the NES and Game Boy. Like the original games, Dr. Mario World revolves around clearing viruses from the screen using color matching puzzle mechanics, but with some modern twist designed for mobile play. Unlike the original Dr. Mario, where capsules dropped from the top of the screen, in this version, capsules floated upward from the bottom. The player had to strategically place them to float into the right position. It's a cool spin and definitely a good change of pace for the series. As levels progressed, new obstacles like blocks and more complex virus arrangements were introduced to increase difficulty. But something that I thought was really cool was the different playable characters you could unlock and use. You could choose different doctors like Dr. Peach, Dr. Bowser, and heck, all these other doctors. Each doctor had their own unique skills, which could be used to help clear levels more efficiently. Not only that, but different assistants could be unlocked to provide various gameplay benefits. Dr. Mario World also featured a versus mode allowing players to compete against others in real-time matches. In this mode, players could send extra viruses to their opponent's screen by completing combos or special moves, making the game more competitive. The game also looked pretty darn good for a mobile game, and the music remixes were fun to listen to. Right? But whoopsies, Dr. Mario included microtransactions! Who could have seen that coming? Players could purchase in-game currency to buy additional capsules, power-ups, or characters. There was even a stamina system that limited how many times you could play before needing to wait or use premium currency to refill. Which is dumb, but I get it. I just hate mobile games that don't let you play whenever you want. And you already know how the story ends. Despite initial interest, Dr. Mario World struggled to maintain a large player base. In July 2021, Nintendo announced that the game would be discontinued, and its servers were eventually shut down on November 1st. And as you can see, after the shutdown, the game became completely unplayable. I kinda wish they tried to do what they're going to do with Animal Crossing and just charge us $10 for it. This is going in B tier. Next we have Mario Kart 9! Tour! Mario Kart Tour was a game that immediately grabbed everyone's attention when it launched. I remember the day it released. I was still in high school and so many people were playing it. The game promised the classic Mario Kart experience. Familiar tracks, characters, and items, but with a significant twist. You can now play it with one hand. The first big difference was the controls. Instead of holding a controller, you're swiping and tapping your way through races. There's a basic steering option where you can casually slide your finger from one side of the screen to the other, and the drifting mechanic that allows sharper turns and those satisfying post-drift boosts. Drifting is a big part of the Mario Kart experience, and in Tour, it's handled very well. The game also does a lot of heavy lifting by automatically accelerating and performing tricks after launching off ramps, which makes sense due to the limited control scheme, and I think works really well. At first, the controls can be a little tricky to get used to. I remember being a bit thrown off by them, especially coming from the tight, precise controls on the console versions. But after a while, they become second nature, even if they never quite match the depth and the responsiveness of using an actual controller. The game is structured around cups, with a variety of levels in each one. You race through these cups with unique challenges like racing against a giant nabbit or collecting dry bones on the track. These additions give the game some variety beyond just standard races. There's also a battle mode, and it's actually not half bad. And heck, you can even play this game online. You can race or battle against players from around the world, which adds a lot of replayability. The more you play, the more you unlock access to the game's gacha mechanic, which allows you to fire this pipe. This is where Mario Kart Tour introduces the collectible element. You fire the pipe to receive random items like character costumes, carts, gliders, and tickets. These items come with different stats and can offer various bonuses depending on the track you're racing on. But for me, a constant problem I found with the game itself is what I should even be doing next. Should I focus on completing challenges, leveling up my items, joining online races? Felt a little aimless at times, especially since I haven't played this in a long time. Despite the occasional confusion, Mario Kart Tour has plenty of features that keep you engaged. Completing challenges earn you badges, which are small incentives that make you want to keep playing. Certain characters, carts, and gliders also get bonus points or stat boosts on specific tracks, adding a layer of strategy to which item you choose before each race. There's also a leveling up system. Use an item enough times and it earns XP, making it stronger. At least I think that's what happens. All I know is that the number on the card goes up. I'm not sure what that number is. I usually just pick the one with the highest number. Then when you pull a duplicate item from the gacha, it also upgrades that item, which makes you not mind getting doubles as much. One of the standout aspects of Mario Kart Tour is the sheer variety of characters and costumes available. This game takes it to the next level with themed costumes like Christmas Bowser, and characters decked out in all sorts of costumes like Dr. Peach and Wedding Mario. But not just costumes, full-on playable characters, like Poochie from the Yoshi series, and 16-bit Mario. Like what the heck? We also have playable Miis and a huge selection of costumes to choose from for them. This is the kind of characters and customization we need in the mainline Mario Kart games. And yes, all that being said, this will take a while to unlock, or some money. There's also a ton of new tracks to play on, so much so that they brought a lot of them to Mario Kart 8 with the Booster Course Pass. Overall, Mario Kart Tour manages to capture the essence of a Mario Kart game on mobile, even if it doesn't quite match the depth or precision of the console versions. The controls take some getting used to, and the sheer amount of content can be overwhelming, but it's still an enjoyable experience, especially if you're looking for a Mario Kart fix on the go, at least for now. Because much like a lot of Nintendo mobile games, the development has stopped for this, and any events or costumes have all been in the game at one point or another, and it's just being recycled. There hasn't been any new content being added, and it seems like the team is working on some other projects, like the next Mario Kart game, perhaps, hopefully. While it has its flaws, it's probably the most fun I've had on one of these mobile games, but because of the slight confusion and the microtransactions, it's A tier. Next, Pikmin Finder. Now, this technically isn't an app, it's a website that you can visit and use the AR capabilities of your phone. I never heard of this before researching this video, but I'm pretty sure this was released as some sort of advertisement for Pikmin 4. Essentially, all this is you plucking Pikmin and making them go get treasure. That's all. So it's charming, and I just wanted to include it here, C tier. The most recognizable game is, of course, Pikmin Bloom. This game is very similar to a game you might be familiar with, and that's, of course, Pokemon Go. I used to love Pokemon Go so much, I played it for 3 years straight when it first launched, and got almost every Pokemon in the Pokedex. Oh, and you might have realized that I haven't brought up any Pokemon games in this video yet. That's because there's so many Pokemon games on mobile that I'd have to do a whole other video for it. So if you like this one, stay tuned, I might do another one. Anyways, back to Pikmin. The premise of Pikmin Bloom is pretty straightforward. It's a game where the goal is to grow and collect Pikmin by walking in real life. As you walk, Pikmin seedlings grow and eventually become Pikmin that you can add to your team. You can then plant virtual flowers by walking around real-life locations, leaving a trail of blooms where you walk. Once you get Pikmin, you can then send them on expeditions to retrieve fruit, which can be converted into nectar. Feeding your Pikmin nectar makes them grow flowers on their heads, and these flowers contribute to your flower count. Once you have enough flowers to bloom from your Pikmin, you can start walking and planting those flowers. The core loop involves walking, growing Pikmin, collecting nectar, and making the world bloom, encouraging users to integrate this game into their daily walking routine. There's also expeditions, where you can send one or many Pikmin to fetch a sapling, fruit, or defeat mushrooms in battles. Once you defeat mushrooms, they drop a postcard, fruit, and usually special nectar, which changes the color of your blooms. Much like Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom incorporates augmented reality to overlay Pikmin and flowers onto the real world. That's if you ever choose to use the AR feature, which, let's be honest, nobody does. As you walk, you'll see little Pikmin companions trail behind you on the map. You'll also see far-off fruit on the map too, and you can literally watch your Pikmin run to go get it. And that could take several hours, but that gives your Pikmin something to do while you're not actually playing the game. In Pikmin Bloom, one of the main goals is to collect different types of Pikmin. Once you've obtained all the colors, you can grow a variety of Pikmin special editions. Some Pikmin wear costumes based on locations you visited, adding a fun collectible aspect to the game. For example, if you get a Pikmin sapling near a cafe, all the Pikmin will be dressed in cafe attire. This encourages players to visit different places to play the game and collect these exclusive Pikmin. However, my biggest problem is that some of these costumes, like the beach costume, just aren't really obtainable for me because there's not a beach that I live near. It's almost impossible for me to collect these. They might have made it easier over time, but this was a big turnoff for me when I first started playing. Additionally, you can also earn badges based on achievements like steps walked. Back when I first played the game, I loved the social features. Pikmin Bloom allowed you to connect with friends, view their flower trails, and even help others by sending Pikmin on joint expeditions. The game also includes a diary feature that logs your daily step count and routes, along with pictures you've taken on that day. It's pretty fun to look back on sometimes. And just like Pokemon Go, there are community events. Players can work together and plant flowers, and contribute to global goals. Pikmin Bloom is free to play, and it's probably one of the easiest games to not spend money on, but I still did. You should expect this by now, but this game has microtransactions. These typically take the form of items that can help speed up growth or expand your inventory for holding more Pikmin. Everything about this game just feels very fresh and visually appealing. This wasn't just a Pokemon Go reskin, it was genuinely its own thing, which is why I really enjoyed it after I burned myself out playing Pokemon Go for so long. Pikmin Bloom is bright, colorful, and heavily reminds me of the charming aesthetic from the main Pikmin series, and Pikmin 4 is one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. If you're someone who likes taking leisurely walks and wants an easygoing game to accompany you, Pikmin Bloom is perfect. Except I don't really like to walk around. Oh, and also this. I love vlogging in public. Playing Pokemon Go, right? Not Pokemon Go. One thing I didn't remember about playing these games is the fact that when it gets colder, like right now, it's October, I do not want to play these games because it's cold outside and I want to stay inside and be a lazy guy. I'm pretty cold right now. So I remember these games kind of died for me when the winter struck here in Canada. I did not dress warm enough. I'm freezing. I'm done. This is going in A tier. So that's my ranking for playing every single Nintendo mobile game. It seems like they've just kind of stopped doing mobile stuff aside from some Nintendo Switch Online and parental controls. So it's interesting to see what they'll have for us in the coming years. If you want to see me play every Disney game on Nintendo Switch, click here. Please consider becoming a channel member and subscribing. I hope to see you in the next one. See you later.